Now let's talk about speed and velocity. So the average velocity of something is the rate of change of its position in a certain time interval. Now the units for this are meters per second. Remember, we are in the metric system, so we want meters per second, not miles per hour. It's a vector quantity, which again means that it has both magnitude and direction. And here's the equation for average velocity. Now, when we think about this definition, the rate of change of its position. Now, remember, change in position is displacement. So when we are calculating average velocity, we use the displacement in the calculation. So we have average velocity is equal to change in position, or displacement, divided by change in time. Now, change in time, usually time initial is just zero. So it's just going to be the displacement divided by the time. Now, the sign of velocity, like I said before, it's a vector quantity, which means that it has a direction. And we get the direction of velocity from the sign, just like displacement. If we have a positive velocity, it means the object is moving in a positive direction. And if we have a negative velocity, it means the object is moving in a negative direction. Now, you are going to assign which direction is positive and negative. Usually we say, like I said before, up, north, right, forward, things like that. Those are all positive directions. But as long as you keep your signs consistent, you always say forward is positive, and then if the object turns around, then it's going to be going in the negative direction, then you'll be totally fine. So in our example before, we had Monty the Monarch moving on a number line. So I'm going to use the same example to find Monty's velocity. So let's say that Monty the Monarch started at a position of x equals 0, like we said before. He walked to the right 4 meters, then turned around and walked to the left 8 meters to a final position of x equals 4 meters. If this all happened in 4 seconds, we want to know Monty's overall average velocity. So remember, in velocity, when we're finding velocity, it's displacement divided by time. And displacement, the only thing that matters are the final and initial positions. So our average velocity is equal to displacement divided by time. So displacement was our final position minus our initial position divided by our change in time. So our final position was 4 meters, negative 4 meters, because it's to the left of that origin, and then divided by a time of 4 seconds. So we get negative 4 meters divided by 4 seconds, and we get an average velocity for Monty of negative 1 meters per second. Now, average speed is a little bit different. Speed is another way to describe how fast something is moving, but this is a scalar quantity. So velocity is a vector quantity, speed is a scalar quantity, which means that it doesn't involve direction. It involves the distance traveled instead of the displacement. Okay, so the equation for average speed is equal to distance divided by time. Now, if we use the same example, but instead of finding average velocity, we want to find Monty's overall speed. Remember, speed is distance divided by time. So the total distance that Monty travels here, he goes to the right 4 meters, and then he turns around and goes to the left 8 meters. So 4 plus 8 is equal to 12. And then we're going to divide by the total time again, which was 4 seconds. So we get 12 meters divided by 4 seconds, which is a positive 3 meters per second. So notice that this is a positive number because speed, again, is a scalar quantity. It doesn't involve direction. So you're always going to get a positive number for the speed. Now, sometimes speed and velocity can be the same thing. If your distance and displacement are the same, so you're going in a straight line, in the forward direction, then speed and velocity are interchangeable. But with something like this, where something is turning around, or if you're going all the way around and then coming back, and having a final position that's different, so your displacement is different from your distance, then your speed will be different from your velocity.